custom streaming service that will go right to our YouTube, hopefully. And it looks like it is working. I love it when everything works out great. And there we go. We popped up. Apparently, we are here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to season 3, episode, what is it, 104? Oh my goodness, we're just rocking and rolling. We got a couple people in the chat. John Wayne, Care PPG, Jim Senard from Canada A, John Wayne again, me, Mad Sloper, and we're going to rock and roll tonight. Tonight's going to be a great show, so thank you very much for joining us tonight. We're going to say hello to everybody in the panel, and then we're going to be talking to our guests, and this is amazing. The adventures that they have are awesome, so make sure you stay for the entire time. We're going to be doing this for about an hour, and then the last half an hour we're going to be talking or taking questions from the chat and the panel. So first of all, let's welcome Will Fly. Will Fly from Will Fly PPG. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
I'm doing real good. It's good to be here. I'm looking forward to tonight's show.
Absolutely. You do a lot of videoing, and you have an awesome channel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, just I like to fly paramotors and, make videos about it and kind of share what it is that I learn along the way, the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Well, we're definitely glad that you're here, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us. He's going to be watching the chat. So if you have any questions in the chat, make sure that you say hello to Will, and he will let us know that you have a question in the chat. We also got ParaMomUSA.com, our very own Linda Anderson. She's our cheerleader with the little pom-poms. Let's see the pom-pom. There they go.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome in the chat. Thanks for all being here. Tonight on Monday night, the only place to be. We got 2 awesome guests tonight. Got Jack and Adam. So I'm really looking forward to the show tonight. And yeah, you can catch me on Thursday nights on paraglidingtalks.com, hanging out with my awesome son, Robert Michaels.
That's awesome. And if you guys want to be on this show, she is our PR girl. So just go over to ParaMomUSA.com. It forwards over to her Facebook page, Linda Anderson. Just PM her and say, hey, I want to be on PPG Grandpa's Paramotor podcast, ClearPropTV.com, and Paratalk.org. So we also got Jim Senard from Canada. What's up, buddy?
Hey, things are going good. Trying to stay warm.
I know, right? How's your money smelling? Still like maple syrup there in Canada, eh?
Smells good. Love it.
Awesome. Now, I know the last time that we talked, you were almost at 100 flights. Are you there yet, buddy?
Yeah. Well, I'm still almost there. Still at 98.
Still almost there. Well, hopefully you'll be able to get that 100 very soon. Now, you also run a printing press up there in Canada. You've also helped us get Paramotor calendars out there over at paramotorcalendar.com. How do we get up with you, buddy? So in case somebody wants to get a calendar made or something made by you, how do they get up by you?
They can reach me at carepp.com through email or chat or however. And you can also check out careppg.com if you wanted to see some paramotor shenanigans.
Paramotor shenanigans. That's awesome. So thank you so much, Jim, for helping us out with those free paramotor calendars that we were giving away at all the fly-ins last year. We definitely appreciate you very much. And thank you for being on the panel tonight. JP, are you there, buddy? No? All right, we'll come back to you in a minute. So we also got Jade in the house. She's our paramotor girl. She also has a show every Wednesday night. So tell us a little bit about your show, Miss Jade.
Happy Monday, everybody. My show is Girls Just Want to Fly. And this week we have a really awesome guest as usual, but we have a astronaut that is coming on the show this week and interviewing her. And she was one of the 4 inspiration for astronaut. She was the mission pilot on the flight. So I'm really looking forward to talking to her and having everybody meet with her.
Well, that's awesome. And I heard that you had the creds, so you feeling a little bit better now?
Today was first day back to work, and about 11 o'clock this morning, I kind of went downhill again. So, but I'm hanging in there.
Well, glad that you're feeling better. Glad that you're on the panel. Thank you so much for
Yep.
joining us. I know you could be doing so many other things like laying in bed, watching TV other than being on the show. So thank you very much.
Did
Ms.
plenty of
J.
that last week.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We also got JP Tulo from jptulo.com, the only guy I know that has over 2.5 million hits on a little kitty cat, smacking him around. How you doing, JP?
Not too bad, guys. Happy to be here. How is everyone? Good? Good?
Definitely 2 thumbs up. And speaking about 2 thumbs up, don't forget, sometime during the show, we need to do our thumbs up thing.
Excellent, excellent.
So how's your TikTok Tulo thing going? You got any
Good.
couple
Nothing
million
new.
more hits or what?
Yeah. No, nothing new. Just kind of same old, same old. I think the footage has kind of dried up with the cold weather and everything. So we need to buckle down and make some more content
Definitely.
here. But
Definitely make some more
Up with the cold
content
weather.
because, you are the man, the TikTok Tula man. So thank you so much for being on the panel. Definitely appreciate you. But tonight is not about the panel. Tonight is about our guest. We got Jack and we got Adam. They have been doing some amazing trips over the last 9 and 5 years. And first of all, we want to talk to Adam. Adam, welcome to the show, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
tonight. And
Yeah, glad to be here.
so it's Adam Dowling, right? I said
Yes.
it correctly? Okay. And you've been flying for 5 years.
That's correct. Yep.
And one of the things that you recently done is flown internationally and brought your paramotor with you. Is that correct?
No, actually, I have not been flying my paramotor internationally. It's actually just PG paragliding that we've done internationally.
Okay. Okay. So we got a story though about you going international with, and then flying over there, right?
Yes.
Sounds good. So tell us, Adam, a little bit about yourself and how you got into paramotors and what brought you up to this point in life.
Yeah. So I got into paramotors. Basically, the story is, I went skydiving for the first time and kind of got hit by that bug. Wanted to, it was my first really extreme sport experience. And while I was kind of, just excited to kind of get into that sport, I started thinking about, all the logistics and everything, and doing more research online. I stumbled across PPG, and then I was able to speak with a local instructor, and in a few months I was training, and that was back in 2015. I took my first flight in, I believe it was May or June of 2016.
Wow. So you started off with
Coming up on 5
skydiving.
years.
So you started off with
Yeah, just
skydiving?
I just went skydiving once, and I kind of got kind of hooked on that feeling. Really, it was the glide down that did it for me. Whenever the chute opened and it was just, you're right above the clouds, and you spend a few minutes gliding down. The first thing I asked, it was a tandem flight, so I asked the guy, I was like, "Hey, how long can you stay up here if you were to, try to stay up as long as you could?" And he's like, 4 minutes or something like that. and I was like, "Man, that stinks." But now, of course, I'm flying above the clouds for hours if I want to with paramotors.
So I got a question for you. When it comes to jumping out of an airplane, opening up a chute, and having that glide, right? And then you went over to PPG. Were you able to take any of that feeling or learning skydiving and moving it over, transitioning it over to PPG?
Well, not the learning. I honestly didn't learn much except for kind of like the adrenaline, that happened whenever I went skydiving for the first time. But it's kind of you know, that rush that you get, you know, it does happen in PPG. It's not as, you know, it's not as intense, obviously, but, you know, it does happen after, in, you know, certain flights where, you know, you're able to, you know, have a cool experience with. Nowadays it happens when, you know, whenever there's several of us flying together, or I'm able to take it to the next level on some sort of acro move or something like that, or aerobatic move, you know, something that really, you know, gives me that rush.
Absolutely, totally agree.
Yep.
Well, Adam, we're gonna talk with Jacques Burton real quick, and we're gonna go back and forth between you two. So, like I said, thank you very much for both of you being on here. This is Jacques Burton. He's been flying for 9 years. He's been doing a lot of international flying and stuff. But Jack, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into the sport, and what got you up to this point right now?
So I grew up in Europe, and as a child in the 80s in France, watched these crazy men experimenting with, I would call it experimental in the early 80s or even late 70s, with paragliding. And I was always envious, always wanted to fly, and was able to watch that progress. And then again, like Adam, went skydiving. Free fall was cool, but the canopy ride was the amazing part. Fast forward, was in Europe with a friend in 1990, and going through Innsbruck, Austria, and see a guy paragliding. And I'm like, we've got to chase this guy down. So we chased this guy down side of the roads, up through the, you know, mountains. And this guy had to know, I mean, we were in the middle of nowhere, going through fields and everything. And he lands, and I jump this fence and I come running to him, right? And this guy loses his mind. He thought he was going to be robbed, murdered, whatever. He had no idea who this random person speaking English. And so I was trying to give him a ride back because I wanted to find out where they were launching from and everything. But to make a long story short, that is whenever I knew I was going to para something, whether it be paraglide or paramotor. And I moved to Florida 11 years ago and watched a guy go up and down the beach. And it just happened to be Adam's instructor. So we actually share the same instructor. Went out and spoke with those guys and decided, hey, if I can't huck myself off of a mountain, I can put a bush hog on my back and kind of achieve the same thing. And it went from there. Then paragliding, got to fulfill that passion, and the two really fit really well together. But yeah, that's my story.
Well, that's really awesome. So how'd you feel? Like you said, you did the skydiving also.
Correct.
What's the difference between skydiving and paragliding and paramotoring?
Yeah, I had a number of jumps and free fall, and you know, it kind of, from an outside observer, it looks similar. I have mentored quite a few skydivers transitioning into paramotoring, and I noticed that they're very heavy on the toggles. So their moves are very, you know, there's a lot of pressure, where we're much more finesse. Our glide ratio is more, you know, probably triple that of a skydiving canopy. So the canopy ride's very similar. It's just rushed. The landing is very rushed in skydiving compared to paramotoring or paragliding. So similar but different. I think the biggest advantage of paramotoring is that's it. You buy the equipment. You don't have to go to an airport per se, pay for a ride, and, you know, repack your chute and maybe get, on a good day, 8 cycles, 8 jumps a day, where we can go up for hours.
What's the cost of being able to go up is it per cycle, or is it per day, or how do you have to pay for something like that?
I mean, I think the last flight that I took, the last ride, I think was like $30. 25, $30, yeah, something like that. And that's after getting your A license, yeah. Okay,
and then now, do you pack your own chute, or do you have something else?
I did not, no. I didn't get that deep into it. I realized that there was too much friction to get into the air, meaning 3 hours there, 3 hours back, and, you know, a few jumps. Just the reward wasn't there.
Right, but it's a good rush though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But in my opinion, completely different. Canopy ride is similar to shutting your motor off, but it's noisier, it's faster, and it's a little bit more of a sensory overload compared to free flight. Free flight's magical. If you've never had the chance to paraglide, that's where you need to go.
I've got a
Yeah.
question for you, Jack. I mean, I've seen at my local LZ, there's a skydiving school, so I see them jump and land all the time. It looks like those guys come down like a freaking rock. So they must have some hellacious flare authority. You know, it's like they come almost, you know, like speeding down. You know they're going to crash, but that's what they normally do.
Yeah, so
Last second, boom.
we kind of, Adam and I kind of land like that on paramotors. We fly single skin wings a lot. And if you don't land high energy, you're gonna hit hard. Completely different technique. So I think we kind of do a swoop is what sounds like you're describing. High energy, high speed turn, bank, and dive to the ground, and then flare last second.
Yeah. Bill H wants to know what type of Tesla you fly. I mean, what what kind of Tesla do you have?
Model X.
Model X.
Yeah. The one with the wings, of course, right? The gold wing. Yeah.
Right on.
All right. Now, you've been flying internationally, both Adam and you, Jack. So, first of all, I know that Adam has a story about his first time, but let's go ahead and talk to Jack real quick. What was your first time like going overseas, and how has it progressed to lately? Is it easier, more difficult? And you know, I want to go international, so
Sure.
I feel like I don't know if I want to or not. It sounds like there's too much. Help us out, and maybe the viewers can understand what it feels like to go overseas to fly paramotors.
Sure. So to be fair, you'd mentioned Mexico. I've never crossed into another country to paramotor or paraglide. I've only flown. My most recent trip was to Egypt for a total of 18 days. And in that particular trip, I actually used a motor that was in country already, which is always the easiest way to pull this off. There's no doubt about it. You can look at Matt Minyard and Glenn Tupper's videos. They do a really good breakdown of how to get a motor on a plane and back to the United States. So I really don't want to rehash all that. I think we can use our time a little bit more valuably, although we've done it. Just as most recently as September, coming back from Europe. So that's another way to do it. But Egypt, 18 days, was the most organized event that I had ever been on. 4 different cities or locations, I should say: Cairo, Luxor, Aswan, and Marsalam. We flew over the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Valley of the Kings, the Aswan Dam, and the Red Sea. There's some pictures up on my Instagram, probably Facebook Paramotor shared, but that was an amazing trip. Now, the world's changed a lot in the last couple of years, right? And there's some barriers to executing a trip like this. Vaccination is going to be a requirement. That's going to preclude some people from doing this. I'm vaccinated, pretty easy, very low friction. The upside of this is these destinations are empty. So we had the pyramids practically to ourselves. So that really gave us a lot of flexibility in how low and how aggressive we could fly and how long we could fly without that constant noise in the background. So everything was just kind of chill. Even Adam and I, we went to Cupicar this year. We went to Italy, France, Switzerland, and Cupicar. If you're not familiar with that, probably the biggest non-powered flying festival in the world: paragliding, wingsuit, paramotoring, in the French Alps. And normally it attracts around 80,000 people. I think there were, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, about 4,000 this year.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, but still 4,000 was great. Adam's first experience at Cupicar was great. This year, when we go again, he's going to know the lay of the land. Hopefully all this stuff is passed and it's going to be like the way it was, but that being said, to international travel, first of all, you have to set a goal. You have to say, hey, rather than I just want to travel internationally, pick a spot. I want to go to Ecuador, right? And then you start doing some research. Use the Paramotor forum. Use this forum and ask people, have you been? What are your contacts? Does anyone have a paramotor there that I can use? Never ask if you can rent, ask if you can use one, right? Come visit me. You can use one of my paramotors. I know that's that's a big offer, but many people have done it for me, and I want to be able to reciprocate. Ecuador. So that was, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, your first major international trip?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So I had never been to Ecuador before. I had been to Peru a few times before that to fly. And Adam's goal for that trip was to get paragliding certified. And I know this is a paramotor show, but it's the same sport, right? You just add a mountain or wind or add the motor. It's the same thing. And we're lying if we're saying it any other way. So Adam goes down there. He's got great wing handling skills, lots of wind down here on the Florida coast, and gets his P2 within 2 days, right? APPI, international rating. And his first launch was, tell us about your first launch, Adam. I can't quite remember all the details.
Yeah. It was, it was in the Andes Mountains. It was, it was kind of like a pasture on the side of a mountain that had plenty of area to run, and get up in the air and, abort if I needed to. So I felt very comfortable. I just, I was able to, get up pretty quickly and go for a good flight, and really, build the confidence for my, my next flights on PG, that I needed.
So he
mainly.
probably doesn't remember a whole lot of this, but he launched from 8,500 feet above sea level, surrounded by.
I don't remember the exact elevation.
I think it was 11 snow-capped volcanoes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
11 snow-capped volcanoes. This beautiful lake, Yaguaracocha in Nevada, Ecuador. And his first time ever, right? He actually has his paramotor helmet on with his earmuffs, right? It was hilarious. His Mac Para Muse 3, and just sends it off this mountain, and radios and everything, great instructor, and first paragliding flight. And just to give you a breakdown of that trip, we were really kind of hoping to connect with some paramotor people there, but it ended up being a pure paragliding flight, which made it very easy. Remember, the rest of the world, there's just tons of paragliding sites, right? And we make our own sites, having paramotors. We make our own mountain, our magic button, and go up. But when you go to these sites that are paragliding sites, you meet some of the coolest people in the world. Like Robert. You meet the Tio de Blix, the Raul Rodriguez's, Amelia Plack. Those sites that you go to are where everyone else migrates to paraglide. And your network is so expanded at that point. The connections you make are amazing. You meet the coolest people. And so we ended up, I think we drove 2,000 miles in Ecuador, started out in the Andes Mountains, drove all through every jungle, desert, mountains.
All the climates.
Yeah, all the climates possible, right?
Yep.
And paraglided in the mountains, paraglided at the beach, did dynamic soaring, made some great longtime friends there, and then back to Quito, Ecuador, and back. So I think I kind of want to open everyone's eyes to the possibility of, we're all paramotor pilots. why not be a paragliding pilot? So maybe your first trip should be paragliding. Then you don't have to worry about carrying that motor around or renting a motor. You'll meet a new instructor. You'll meet a whole new crew of people. You'll be at a great destination, and you'll have one bag to carry rather than worrying about disassembling, a new gas tank, cleaning a carb out, etc. And it's going to be much less expensive.
That's very interesting. Never really thought about it, going out and just doing paragliding in different countries instead of paramotors. Adam, how was your experience as far as your first time traveling international to the place? And where did you go, and how was your first trip?
Yeah, that first trip, we flew to Quito, Ecuador. It was excellent. Had a great time. I definitely would recommend it. Being fully immersed into their culture, eating the food as well was a huge part of the trip. We wanted to fly as much as possible, but some days the weather wasn't quite right, or the conditions. One time when we were up on the mountain, the conditions, you could kind of see the weather coming, so we decided to shut it down. So we didn't get to fly near as much as we wanted to, but whenever the weather was bad, we explored the area. So yeah, it was an excellent trip.
How was your trip from the United States over there? I mean, did you have any problems getting over there?
No, it was so we I can't remember exactly what the connect, like, I think we left out of
New Orleans
yeah, we went to New Orleans,
Yeah.
and then straight to Quito. So it was nothing. It was like flying, it was even the same time zone. So Central Time. So yeah, it was like flying, out west or something. It didn't seem very far at all. I've flown to Hawaii before, and that was like a whole ordeal, 24 hours. You're hitting all, I think it had 3 connecting flights. This was much easier than that even. So
yeah, so keep in mind, most of the people that we're dealing with speak English in this sport.
Yeah,
this is typically higher education in those countries. It's an expensive sport relative, and so there tend to be higher educated people. It's much easier than you would expect.
So people that would love to be able to do the trips that you're doing, it doesn't seem to be as I don't know. I've heard some horror stories crossing the border into Mexico, but that's not what you guys are talking about. You're talking about just jumping on a plane, heading down south, finding a place to go. They already have your equipment there, and it's a breeze. You're even the same time zone.
Yeah. And again, anytime you're doing a land crossing, they are highly suspicious of anything in a personal conveyance, right? Air travel tends to be, much less scrutinized than you coming across the border from El Paso to Juarez in a Sprinter van with 3 paramotors that they don't want you to sell them, right? Or whatever, fly drugs across the border. It's very different when you're doing international air travel to a location that is accustomed to this kind of equipment. Like you fly into Geneva, Switzerland, or Paris, France, or Zurich, or Milan. They're not going to bat an eye at this equipment because they see it all the time. I mean, it's paragliding and paramotoring, not a big deal there. It's way more saturated.
Did you take your equipment with you, or did you go there and rent equipment?
So Egypt was using equipment there. Okay. And in Europe, the way to do it in Europe is to go there and buy the equipment and bring it back. That's where the stuff is built.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. You get really good deals over there, or how's that work?
Yeah. So Coupe Car's the largest trade show for this industry. And just in September, I carried a motor back. No problem. No big deal.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, Adam was there through the whole trip and it was just a non-issue. Yeah, I mean, the thing about sending your motor via air is it's clean, packed in probably a couple separate bags. I'll rehash what Matt Minyard clearly outlines in the video. Best case is a new gas tank. Take a new gas tank with you. It's just that simple.
Wow. Just, you don't need to tell me, any detail, but about how many % are we talking less to get the equipment over there and flying it back than it is to get it over here in the United States?
It depends on the scenario, but it can be significant.
Right.
Yeah, it can be significantly less.
Significantly less. Wow. All right. We'll definitely need to talk more about that significantly less.
Yeah, you could pay for your trip. Put it that way.
Wow. Okay, definitely. So are you getting a wing there and motor, or what do you normally get over there?
What do you want? I mean, that's where all the stuff is from, right? I mean,
Wow.
You just imagine you're at the world's largest expo for this, and those vendors don't want to ship it back or carry it back. So
That's interesting. So if somebody, hears this show and they want to get up with you and learn more about this, how can they get up with you? You have any social media that they can find?
yeah, I think in the show notes at JABU Sports, Jabu Sports, Jacques Burton Sports. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I'm pretty much around in the Paramotor group as well. But yeah, absolutely. Kind of to circle back about an easy international trip, Lima, Peru. If you've ever watched Jean-Baptiste flying across the skyscrapers on the coast, that's Lima, Miraflores. I have a connection down there with a free flight instructor, typically 4 people, and we just all split the expenses. It's not like I make money off these trips at all. I'll get the rent-a-car, Adam might get the Airbnb, we pay the guide, the instructor, whatever. You can go down there for 12 days and get your P3 rating for cheaper than you can get your P3 here in the States. Airfare and accommodations and everything. And you're in a different country using their equipment. You don't even have to carry anything down. So, cost shouldn't really be the factor preventing you from doing it. Kind of back to it, I think you need to set a goal, do your research, and just make it happen. Like flying the pyramids, it seems so daunting, but it's really not. I mean, and you don't have to take a motor. They have motors there. And it's awesome.
It sounds absolutely incredible. Anybody in the panel have any questions for Adam or Jack? Anybody in the super chat have any questions?
There is a
I'm
question in the
wondering.
chat.
I'm wondering about the costs associated with going to Egypt.
Yeah, that's a good question. There are 2 companies that have those trips, Sky One and Sky Sports. And you may have seen recently on social media that Leah Catullo and Johnson Q just got back from a trip as well. They went with another company. They were with part of an ozone photo shoot with Amelia Plaque. And so we compared notes pretty rigorously after they returned, just to see, how everything played out, right? Very similar offerings from both companies. The company I went with had a much more extended itinerary. You could go just to Cairo. You could go to Cairo and Luxor. You could go, pick 4, right? And it starts out, now this is, once you're there, $1,200. And I think my entire trip, now keep in mind, guys, 18 days. Delta, stop in Paris. I think I spent $3,500 and had single accommodation for 18 days. I mean, it's all inclusive. Food. We were at 5-star resorts. I mean, I'd rather do that than buy a second wing, put it that way. It was that much of an experience.
Yeah, $3,500 is a second wing or another wing. So instead of getting the other wing, you could go and do a trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, it's that one was going to be hard to beat for sure.
That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Adam, what kind of trips have you taken, and what was your favorite trip to take so far?
Yeah, so I did that trip to Ecuador in 2019, and then in 2021 we went to we went to France and to Cuba and that I don't know as for which one was my favorite. They were both completely two different experiences. I guess Cuba and meeting a ton of people there. It was excellent. That was probably my favorite.
Adam's being very low key about this, but Adam flew from Annecy. If you guys have ever seen any shots of Lake Annecy, probably the most beautiful town in France. He gets out there on a single skin and flies for almost 2 hours with competition pilots, just soaring these cliffs. And
90-ish minutes. There were probably like 50 to 75 people in the air, but I just kind of mimicked what they were doing, and it was excellent.
So it kind of goes back to what I was saying in the pre-show. We have met so many people that are ridiculously cool and do things well beyond our comprehension, but they're not on YouTube, or they don't speak English, or English is not their first language. So we're kind of sheltered from them. But when you go to these sites in Europe or South America that are these focal points for paragliding or paramotoring, you meet people that you're like infinity tumbles just aren't a thing. It's like, whatever, And
Wow.
here we're like, oh my God, he can do an infinity tumble or a heli. It's like, dude, there are kids that are 11 years old doing helis. And it's ridiculous. We are so far behind in these sports compared to the Europeans. It's
Wow, that's crazy.
It's mind-blowing. And I saw the thread on Paramotor the other day. They're like, what are some big names in this sport? And I'm like, you're missing 3/4 of the world. We're so focused on English speakers that are on YouTube. And you're missing all the Spanish people, all the French, all the Germans, all the Swiss, all the Austrians, all the Brazilians. There were a number of Brazilians on my trip to Egypt that were just amazing pilots. Never heard of them, but they're clearly much more skilled than I am.
Wow,
Kind of humbling.
That's incredible. Nick Griffith in the chat asked, "What is your go-to wing?" So I guess both Adam and Jack, what are your go-to wings?
Yeah, it's kind of a toolbox, right? You look at your tool and say, what's my mission? So I studied the weather before I went to Egypt, and I saw it was very high wind, and then there were no winds. And I looked at the sites that we were going to be taking off from. So actually, I was fortunate enough to be able to take 2 wings. I took a single skin wing from Independent Skyman. It's called the Tensing. You guys, if you watch Kyle Oakley or Matt Minyard, you've seen that wing. And I'm the importer for those, just a plug. But easy to launch, just super, super comfortable wing. And the other was a BGD Luna 2, 20 meter, much faster wing, much better high wind wing. So I kind of had completely both ends of the spectrum. So the single skin works great in a paragliding scenario. Really, really a great all around wing. And Adam, you brought a few different wings with you on the past trips.
Yeah, when I went to Ecuador, I brought the Muse 3, as you mentioned earlier, which that was, it's a huge, it's like a 28-meter wing. I look ridiculous, packing that thing. But on this last trip, I took a 23-meter Independence Tensing, the single skin, much lighter, and my baggage was very tiny in comparison to the first time. That's definitely something I learned from one trip to the other.
Yeah. So the advantage of a single skin is your free flight harness, reserve, wing, helmet, and radio are all carry-on. Carry-on. Overhead compartment. And then you check your clothes, because if you lose your clothes, you can buy clothes anywhere in the world, right? Go to, whatever. It's hard to buy a wing in some places. And so we try to carry on that stuff. But, again, that's more complexities with the paramotor, right? You're risking $7,000, $8,000 worth of equipment, where airlines don't cover that kind of loss if there's baggage loss. But I will tell you that Apple AirTags are the bomb. We dropped AirTags in our bags and we could see exactly where they were going all times. $25, had in that paramotor bag, and we knew where that paramotor was. So
Never thought about that. That sounds so cool.
amazing. So I had 3 AirTags, one in my check-on bag, one in my little backpack that I carried with me with personal items, and one in the paramotor. And you could watch them just go around almost instantaneously, even in Cairo. It worked perfectly. Peace of mind. Then if it even got on the plane with you, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a game changer. Anybody in the chat use the Apple AirTags for their paramotor or bags or anything like that? That sounds pretty interesting. Anybody in the panel have any questions for Adam or Jack? Was there any more questions in the super chat?
Yeah, Mad Sloper had a question, and you covered a lot of this, but I guess, assuming you're not getting, you're buying an all-inclusive package, he's asking if there are any like special flying site fees or licenses or medical insurance requirement.
Yeah, good question. And I kind of want to make a plug. I'll get a little more into that. I want to make a plug for Scout Paramotors, which I fly as well. I love all brands. If you're flying, that's all that really matters. It doesn't really matter what brand. But Scout has a really cool concept where Miro has these trips, right? Iceland, we've all seen Iceland. I believe he does Italy, Croatia. He takes care of everything. You use one of his motors, you can even buy it and bring it back with you. So don't forget, if you want a low friction first time, Scout. Their adventures are amazing. But great question about flying fees. No, we have never had to pay a fee to fly anywhere. But paramotoring in France is very difficult. If you guys know Leah Catullo, she was traveling with us on that trip, and language barrier, et cetera. Leah's a very accomplished ozone pilot, sponsored and everything, and was having a little bit of difficulties getting the green light to fly at Coupe Car because paramotors are kind of like an ultralight, a registered, it's more like Canada, I would say, as far as their legalities are. So Leah has a USPPA PPG3, as did I. I speak French, which really helped things, but we went up to the organizer and showed them that we had health insurance because they want people to be insured. And we were issued temporary flying permits for France, for Coupe Car. Now, circle back. This is the largest paramotor paragliding situation in the world in France, and we had green lights to fly there. And what was cool is APCO, Raphael Benetti, all these guys are like, here, just use our motors. They're just so cool.
Can you get since you have the PPG3 and you got the temporary, if you go back to someplace out of the United States, are you able to get a license to fly there, or how does that work?
I'm not sure how the USPPA, now France is kind of an outlier. France and Canada, I think, are kind of outliers as far as licensing goes. Egypt didn't care. I mean, you needed paperwork, and as long as it had dead presidents on it, you could probably do whatever you wanted. I mean, that's their paperwork. But I know how the USHPA, the free flight world, handles it. They issue a international license. I think that's a good point that we could take up with NOAA, with USPPA, and see if we can get kind of an internationally understood rating like USHPA has for a free flight. kind of like an international driver's license of sorts for paramotors.
Yeah.
But you're such a, it depends where you go. You go to Peru, you go to Ecuador, you're going to be such a novelty that I think they're going to be more amused than anything. Now you go to some, police states, you might get some friction. Vietnam, etc.
Right. Okay. Walter from Australia asked if you ever thought about going to Australia and flying.
Yeah, of course. Obviously travel is very restricted to Australia now, but that's one of those countries that it's such a long flight that I want to make it at least a 3-week trip. And it's probably, 2.5 days of transit there and back. So you've blown 5 days, your vacay there. So yeah, absolutely. Matt Minyard and I have spoken about his adventures in down under, and it was pretty amazing. So yeah.
All right.
That would be interesting because in Australia you have to have a license, right, to fly a paramotor, I think. So how would you?
Yeah, when's the last time you met the paramotor police, though?
Yeah, I haven't.
Mm-hmm. I hate to be like that, but what I would do in that situation is reach out again to the Facebook group and say, hey, planning on flying in Australia. What can I do to be legit? I mean, you don't want to go in there and ruin it for anyone by any means. So you try to do the right thing like we did in France. The world's our oyster from a networking standpoint now, right? You can click and drag and translate into any language you want and just do all this research that there's no excuse anymore.
Very interesting. I mean, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, I need a new wing this year, but sounds like for $3,500, I could go on a trip of a lifetime and take the wife, let her see sights while I'm flying around with buddies and
and good point. Some of these trips my wife would not enjoy. Some of them she would very much enjoy. The Europe, Central Europe, the Alps, that would be a good one. Egypt was just kind of a little fast paced. Adam would probably say Ecuador was a little fast paced. Lima, Peru, totally cool for a family. Plenty of things for them to do. Right there near the LZ. You go fly, they could surf, they could shop, whatever. But we tend to do 4 people, and we tend to hit it pretty hard, whether it's hiking up to launches, it's not what my spouse would enjoy. She wants to go eat cheese and pastries in France and not chase me down around.
Well, that's interesting. How about you, Adam? What do you think about going over, taking your significant other and having it like a vacation, or is it more along the line of a single thing? You just go over there to fly because it's more directed at flying. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, it'd be difficult, unless they're okay with, just, you kind of leaving them in a, somewhere where they can explore while you're doing flying, or if they want to fly, like do a tandem or something like that, that might be something they can do while you're flying. And there were some people up on the mountain too in Annecy. There was a ton of people doing tandem flights and so forth. So I mean, that's an option too.
So in March, I'll be paragliding in Portugal, and it's one of the rare trips where my family will be with me, but they know what they're getting into, and it's coastal flying. So I'll just be flying up and down the coast, soaring, and they can take the car, go to the cafe, whatever. They know what they're getting into. But as far as like XC trips, that's not going to be their cup of tea.
Speaking about
send your wife out on a girls trip, right? And come on a guys trip. No, or Jade, you can come with Leah Catullo, right with us.
There you go.
12 days, right, Adam?
Yep.
I'd be it.
Speaking about cross countries, Adam and Jack, what are your favorite cross countries that you have done? I mean, Adam's been flying for 5 years. Jack's been flying for 9. Obviously, you guys done some sort of XCs. What were your favorites, and where were they? I mean, were they in the United States or in a different country?
I would say motor, it's going to be in Egypt. We did some pretty long out and backs, landing on an island in the middle of the Nile. That was pretty cool. Rescuing a buddy that had a motor out on a sacred island temple. That's a whole nother show. That's just another show. That's crazy. But as far as paragliding, mine would be in Peru, a place called Pachacamac, Peru. It's an inland site, kind of like, I haven't been to Blossom, but from what I've seen, it's very similar to Blossom, kind of off the coast. So you get this nice wind coming from the coast, and you soar from mountain to mountain, and then you can go all the way to the ocean. So that site's magical. In the lower Andes, yeah.
Sounds pretty awesome. How about you, Adam? And any interesting cross countries or long cross countries that you've done?
No, we here locally, we usually on like holidays or something like that, we'll get clearance to fly, long cross countries. So that, they're only like 30 miles or so, but you get the view basically that's behind me. Those are really the best ones that I've had personally.
It's kind of technical too, because we're getting permission from the military and also a executive airport. So that's kind of an exceptional flight.
Yeah, those flights with the guys where there's several of us in the air. Those are the best times for sure.
What size groups do you normally fly in? I mean, if you go overseas, do you fly in big groups, or you just try to go out and fly, with yourselves, or what do you do?
Well, in Europe, we flew with Leah Catullo. So there were 4 of us, right? Me, Leah, or was it just the 3 of us? I can't.
Yeah, just 3. There was 4 of us
getting mixed up. So
in
it was
Ecuador.
Adam, Leah, and I in one car. And if you guys know Chris Holbert, Predator Paramotor, and Ryan Glauca from Texas Paramotor Training, they followed us behind us in a car. And so we, did the multiple countries there, did a lot of scouting. And then we ended up hooking up with Amelia Plack and Matthias, her boyfriend. She's from Ozone Paramotor Division. So as small as solo to in Egypt, we had over 20 pilots in the flight and in the air at one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about you, Adam, over the last 5 years of flying? Do you normally fly solo, or do you fly in groups, or how do you fly?
Yeah, I usually, fly at least 2 along the beach locally. I've flown solo quite a bit, especially those first couple of years when you're, just trying to, fly as much as possible to figure everything out. I did a lot of solo flying.
I think we've flown with most of you guys at Bad Apples or at Live Oak, Carson's place.
Yeah, that's a good question. What fly-ins have you gone to, and which ones do you normally go to every year?
Bad Apples is probably my favorite. And Carson, Happy Thoughts PPG, good stuff. That dog's cute. Looks like Falcor from the Neverending Story. Bad Apples is pretty awesome.
How about you, Adam? Which ones have you gone to, and which is your favorite?
Yeah, I haven't been to too many. Whenever I first started flying, Beach Blast that was in Panama City, that was my first real fly-in experience. So that was excellent. But now, every year I look forward to Bad Apples. A lot of great people there. Great site. you know, they say it's like a putting green out there. So yeah, that's what I look forward to every year now is Bad Apples. I'd love to go and travel a bit more, maybe go to Endless Foot Drag or Moonshiners. Looking forward to that one day. Seen a lot of good pictures coming out of both of those, and heard some great stories and experiences too. So, but yeah, just Bad Apples for me right now.
You know, I did a road trip last November with Resurgence PPG, and we went as far west as Glamis, Salton Sea, California. And it was amazing, you know, that venue. But Bad Apples is so specialized for aviation that it's kind of one of those magical fly-ins, right? And you know, you guys have heard of Salton Sea. There's a big fly-in coming in at the beginning of February. And I just kind of analyzed going, and I really want to go. But by the time you do airfare or drive 2.5 days, you can go take a trip to Europe for cheaper. It's just math.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any questions from the panel? I know we've been talking for about an hour, so any questions from you guys, or Jack or Adam?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make the commitment. Like the next trip to Peru,
Yeah.
I throw it out there. I make a date that I can go, and I extend it to anyone if they want to come. And first 3 people that come. You know, it's pretty awesome.
And when was that, did you say?
Like, for example, Peru or Ecuador or Europe, I'll just throw the invite out. If anyone wants to come, they can come.
And where are you going to throw this invite out?
Do it on Facebook, Paramotor. I think we're all in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting. Any questions in the super chat? I know that we're rolling up on the hour of interview. Any questions in the super chat? No?
I
All
can
right.
tell you that you've kind of opened my eyes to traveling and doing the whole paragliding thing instead of, I didn't even think about that, you know. And I've heard so many times that if people were to start out paragliding first and then paramotoring, that they'd be much safer pilots. So
yeah, I can tell you firsthand, Will, that was my experience. I was not a confident paramotor pilot in the beginning at all. And once I hooked myself off a few launches, it was a game changer for me.
Right on. And I have one more question for Adam. You flew paramotors first, right?
Yes.
Before you did paragliding. So your first flight, paragliding, how did that feel as far as, I mean, was it significantly different? Was it shockingly different? Any surprises there? Or?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, when you're in a paragliding harness, you're laying back and you can feel the wind kind of, you know, flowing through the wing better. Like everything is much more responsive, your controls. So yeah, it was big. It was a lot different. You know, you're so heavy with the paramotor on, and then, you know, you're kind of locked in, you know, but you hit a bump or experience a collapse, you know, in a paraglider wing, it's you know, and I haven't had any big collapses, but just like a tip collapse, it's a lot different than a paramotor.
If you've ever shut your motor off and landed, that's worst case in a paraglider, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what happens. And then what you do is you seek for ways to go up, whether it's off of a ridge or a thermal. And that's just substitute that for your motor. I feel the wing handles better. It's much more quiet and peaceful. You can actually speak to your buddy flying next to you. It's kind of magical.
Mad Sloper said that in the chat, he made a comment that's one of the main reasons he got an electric paramotor, is so he can shut the motor off and just enjoy.
Well,
you know.
I've flown one of those new SP-140s. It is amazing. You come off the throttle and it feels like you're in free flight.
Really?
Yeah, and then you don't have to worry about, is it going to restart? You know, is my electric start pull start going to work? It's just back on. And there's so little vibration. It's a little spooky. But that's clearly the future. I mean, I was a little over an hour of flight time on it, which you do your numbers for real, you're probably not going to average over an hour. I saw that poll recently, and most of the people we fly with is probably about a 40-minute average flight when you really do the numbers. And that's a game changer. It's still loud whenever it's running, but when it's not, poof, it's amazing.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough too. I had a buddy that got an SP140 and let me take it up for a spin, and I was absolutely amazed at the thrust because you got regular mode and a sport mode, and I turned on the sport mode, and it hold my butt up there better than my Moster 185. What'd you think about that? What'd you think about the power in the electric paramotor? Yeah.
It was insane.
Was it insane?
I've never smiled so much. It's yeah, revolutionary.
I guess it's like when you go from a regular car and you jump into Tesla or an all electric vehicle. The power in the all electric vehicle, the torque is, yeah, it's instant. It's insane. It's just boom, it's there. Big difference. And if anybody gets the chance to go and fly an electric paramotor, my goodness, definitely go try it. It's really awesome. Adam, were you able to fly an electric paramotor yet?
Not yet. Hopefully soon, though.
Hopefully
See it in your
Sounds
future,
awesome.
man.
Yeah,
for
we've
sure.
got a local pilot that has two. He's got the 4-bladed, the X4 and the SP140. And he swears by them too. He has a 280 Tornado as well. And he prefers his electric over two-stroke.
I guess having an electric would be good, because if you just want to go up for that 45-minute flight, and just do a quick flight. I mean, I think that's great, but I really like to do long XCs, and topping off my 5-gallon tank, I can easily do 2.5 hours, and that's, full throttle, basically doing anything I want. I got good 2.5 hours.
Yep.
If they ever made an electric paramotor that could go for 2 hours, I think that'd be pretty good. However, you could put it on a trike, I suppose, and carry an extra battery with you.
Yep.
So-
Eric Dufour has done that.
Oh yeah?
He made a longer range trike. But yeah, I see right now the state of the industry. It's a 2-motor situation for me. During the week, in the evenings, electric, and then on the weekends, 2-stroke.
Yeah, and they're really not expensive either. I mean, I think it was $8,000 for the complete package for the SP140.
Yeah, and then the maintenance and feeding of it, care and feeding is minimal.
Absolutely. When I go fly, I go through 5 gallons of gas, no problem, on a day through the weekend, right? Yeah, like maybe sometimes 10. I'll go out and fly 2.5 hours in the morning, then I'll go fly in 2.5 hours in the evening. That's 10 gallons of gas. That's a lot of wear and tear. Oil's not cheap. And then you got to do maintenance on it. Replace that spark plug. Yeah, it gets really expensive. So interesting. Anybody in the super chat, what do you think about the electric paramotors? Do you have one? Would you like to get one? What do you think are the advantages of having one? I know that the one that I flew had the hour battery, because they have a half an hour battery and an hour battery.
Correct.
And it was heavy. Oh my God, it was heavy. The battery itself felt like the weight of a Moster 185.
It weighed, the unit weighed the same as my Scout.
Yeah.
So, but it never got lighter through the flight, right?
That's true. I guess it doesn't really make any difference. And as long as you come in for a good landing, it doesn't really make any difference when you land either.
Doesn't take long to get off the ground in it. Just
Oh my God, that was just instantaneous. I mean, I knew it was going to have some thrust, but I did not think it was going to be more than the Moster 185. I have a Moster 85 Helix 135 prop, and I thought that was powerful. I was wrong.
yeah.
Any plans? Oh, do you guys fly trike too, or just paramotor foot launch?
No trikes.
No
I'm
trikes?
not anti-trike.
Yeah, just put lunch.
It's our sand here is not very conducive to even balloon tires.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we have surpassed the 1 hour mark. I know that we're going to go for the 1 hour and then, wind down for the last half an hour. So any questions in the chat or any questions on the on the panel here?
Yeah, I had a question from Matt Sloper there.
Yeah.
He was inquiring about the trip to Peru you were talking about. So would the P2 qualify to be able to fly out of Peru?
Yeah. I mean, and so kind of how we've done the Peru trips before is you go down without a rating and you'll leave, depending on the length of stay, you'll leave with a P2 or P3 rating.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, sure, P2 would be awesome. Any rating would be great, but if your intention is to get a rating, got some great connections there.
Right on, man. That does sound exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get that some thought.
Yeah, it changes your mentality about the sport completely. Whenever you have paragliding as a tool, but when you expand your possibilities, like right now, some of you guys are frozen, right? And it's perfect time to go to Iquique, Chile. Right? It's summer there.
I know. What are we doing here, right?
Right. So, I mean, there's a whole other world out there for us to play in. And, around the equator, Ecuador and Peru, it's the same year round. So
I think we might need to move down there permanently so we can fly every single day.
for sure.
At least have a base, maybe a like, I don't know, little office down there or something.
Morocco, another great site. Yeah, I mean, Turkey gets a little cool, but Turkey is amazing. So yeah, I mean, this year we've got Portugal planned, Turkey, and then Cupacar again. We're going to try to squeeze Iquique, Chile in there. Yeah, depends on the world situation with the COVID.
Exactly. Well, like I said before, you guys had, a screenshot real quick before we forget. We always do a screenshot so we can put that on our video. So ready when you are, TikTok Tula.
How do I do this control?
Cheeseburgers.
Cheese. Perfect.
Sweet.
Can I move?
I know, right? Can we move yet?
No, but the takeaway is, you know what? Set a location and just do it. Let's do it.
Sounds awesome. Anybody want to jump in here and chat with us for a couple minutes while we are still on air? If you do, we can actually, oops, that's not what I want to do. We can actually share the username and password to get into here. I'm going to enable the waiting room because we had that one issue that one time. Let's not do that one again. So in the super chat, I will paste the meeting ID and passcode for this. And you guys are welcome to jump in. Just go to your Zoom and put in the meeting ID and passcode. We're only going to be chatting for about another 20 minutes. So if you'd like to jump in, you're more than welcome to. And then about 8:30, about 20 minutes from now, we're going to call it a night. So please jump in and let's chat with Jack and Adam and the rest of the panel. Anybody have any other questions in the panel? Super chat. Anybody? All right. So what are some of the most interesting things you would love to be able to help others do, as far as, like, I know that you like to go on XCs, you like to go to different places around the world. And you already offered, Jack, to be able to go down there, the first 3 people, when you're ready to go again, to go with you. SIVs. Have you guys done any SIVs? I mean, 5 years and 9 years.
No. And we got to watch an SIV from FlyEO in Annecy. to see how an SIV should be done, and it was very eye-opening. I've heard anecdotes about how some SIVs are done here in the US, and we watched how they were done in Europe. And I spoke to Jockey Sanderson and Jack Pimblett about doing theirs in Turkey. And that's why I'm planning on going to Turkey this year. But yeah, so answer is no, haven't done it, but yes, it's imminent.
Interesting.
Yeah, same
Adam,
for me.
so you're going to go down there too to try the SIV?
Yes, you know, we've been talking about it for
Too long.
in great detail for too long. Yeah, we got to get in there and do that. It's definitely the next step for sure.
Interesting. So how is it done in Europe that's different than over here in the States? Because I've taken some over here in the States, but I didn't know that they would do them differently over in Europe.
Yeah, so it was very structured, where the student, let's call them students, the customer was interviewed, their experience was analyzed. They were fully briefed on what was going to happen that day, all the procedures, all the maneuvers, pilotage, actually the ability to fly was judged first before any collapses or any situations or simulations of incidents were put into play. There was a very clear syllabus as to what was going to happen. It was filmed. They had a dedicated camera people on the beach. They had dedicated safety boat. Now they were flying off of the Annecy launch there. And it was just, you could tell that they've been doing this for a while, and this wasn't their first time. Yeah, so everybody, then it became customized after the first flights. Like, this person clearly should not be pulling an asymmetrical front tuck because they can't do a spiral, you know, or whatever, you know. It became custom after the first flight, rather than check boxes like go up, pull a full frontal, do a full stall, do a sat. That's like, you don't go to an SIV, in my opinion, to check these boxes off. You go to become a better pilot and experience what ifs. So how did they get in the air? Were they towed, or did you free fly off of? They were launching from the Annecy Hill.
Okay. And when you say hill, how high is the hill?
It's at 5,000 feet, Adam.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah,
something like that.
5,000.
Yeah, I think it's Four Claws is the name of it, right? That's the launch site.
Yeah, I don't know. More than 3,000 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so you launch off there, and I assume that you get some altitude. You catch some thermals, get a little bit higher.
Just straight off, and you're over the lake, and they have a box that's everyone knows who's flying there for recreation. You don't fly over the box. That's for the SIV. The SIV people have their PFDs on, and on launch they have priority, so they just send them out. You yield to them, they go over the box, they perform their maneuvers.
Okay. Do you happen to know about what it costs over there? Are you talking about Europe or whereabouts?
Yeah, this is Europe. This is France.
Okay.
The company that we were observing was called Flyeo, FLYEO, and I believe it was don't quote me, like $700 for 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good deal.
Yeah, and like, for example, Jockey Sanderson, who kind of wrote the book on this. If you guys don't know Jockey Sanderson, look him up. 30 years of doing this. It's $800 for 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah. It's, you can literally, some of the prices I've been quoted in the US on SIV, I can literally fly to Turkey, stay for a week, and get training from someone who literally wrote a book on this for less money.
That's incredible.
In English.
That's awesome. Matt Sloper joined us in the panel here. Welcome, Mike. Do you have any questions for Jack or Adam, or are you just hanging out with us? You're on mute, by the way. So maybe he has some questions. And
There we go.
well,
Hi,
hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a question for Jack. In reference to like doing SIV with Jackie Sanderson, is there like a long waiting list? Is he like way backed up like they are here in the States?
So good, yeah, another good question. I just looked into this. He has April and September. Those are the good flying seasons in Uludin is Turkey. And
Okay.
right now they're taking names because of the whole COVID thing, right? It's, you know, 2 years ago, they would have been booked up a year and a half in advance. And now they're being very flexible, like offering refunds if you can't come. I do know that Jack Pimblett and Theo de Blick with Rise, they're booked out. I think that their May classes are booked out. So they may have some September availability, but highly encourage you looking into those.
Yeah, I've watched his videos over the past year.
Jockeys?
Yeah, I just watched Jockey's videos, and if I ever kind of want to take a break and go back to PG, I watch his videos. So in case something happens in the air, it's kind of fresh. Like, okay, you might want to get ready to do this if this happens or whatever. But I definitely want to get hooked up with him if I ever go to Turkey,
Yeah.
which Turkey is on the bucket list to go fly.
I lived there for 2.5 years. It's the coolest country I've ever been to.
Did they get all those lifts done now?
The lifts
They got,
are
like,
finished. They're ready. They're running.
They're ready and running. Huh? So is that like a daily fee to go up? Or is
It's
it
per
every
it's
ride?
per ride.
Per ride.
Per
And
ride.
what's something like that run?
I think it's 20 Turkish lira. It's like $10,
$10. That's not bad for a ride up.
which is what it costs for the shuttle bus in France to go to Annecy, the top of the mountain. $10.
Cool. Right.
Yeah, we all need to go to Turkey. I'm telling you.
Turkey. You see that? You see that water and that they're flying over, and then when it's so blue like that, when they have like that algae or whatever comes in, and it's
Well,
just like emerald.
See, that's a destination that would be great to take a significant other to. You're going to be flying at one location. It's a beach town, great restaurants, tons of Europeans there, English spoken, great food. That would be a good family vacation.
What's the deal with that cove? People fly down to that cove, and you got to get a boat ride back.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, the one that's like U-shaped. Yeah.
U-shaped cove. It's like
Yeah. If you fly into that, you have to get a boat ride out.
So
I didn't know where Turkey was until I looked it up on a map. So I learned where it was. That looks like
Honestly, no kidding. Coolest country I've ever been to. Amazing.
So you recommend Turkey first, and then what? What are your list of places to go that you recommend? Turkey first, and then what?
Peru is up there. Ecuador's up there. It all depends, right? So Turkey, Ecuador, Peru, value, tons of value. Europe is Europe, the Alps, but it's expensive compared. So, you probably can stay 2 weeks in Turkey for the price of a week in Europe.
Okay, interesting. Same question for you, Adam. What places have you gone, and how do you rate them?
Yeah. Well, me and Jack have these conversations together quite a bit. So yeah, my list sounds, I think he forgot to mention Chile or Iquique in that list, but yeah, no, that's another one that we'd like to go to for sure. Anywhere where there's dunes, flyable weather, mountains.
When you go to these other places, have you tried to do like an altitude personal record and get really high? Are you more low and slow, mid-range, or how do you guys fly? What's your favorite?
Well, Egypt was proximity flying, right? Because you wanted to be near the stuff that you went to see. But just by sheer nature of launching from 8,500 feet in Ecuador, That was probably a personal record from launch. Yeah, you know, it depends on circumstances, right? What's the day giving you? Is it a thermal day like in Peru? There were some days that you were just, you know, dynamic soaring back and forth, back and forth. Then there are days when there are thermals that just don't seem to ever end. So yeah, it's all based on conditions and location.
How about you, Adam?
Yeah, I think Jack knows I like to fly high.
He does.
But yeah, I guess some of my best flights though recently are the ones where I can fly high and then come down and do some foot drags and stuff like that. So
What's the highest you've gone as far as altitude AGL?
well, I was probably definitely in PPG, you know, here in Florida. It was, I think, 7,800 feet, something like that. But then paragliding, where everything, you know, like when we were in Ecuador, I think, like Jack mentioned, it was around like 8,000 feet, somewhere in there. So it was a little bit higher, but it didn't seem as high because there's a mountain. So
Are we talking the 8,000 AGL above ground level, or is that like?
No, that's a MSL.
Oh, okay. We're watching something on the screen. What are we watching?
That's me taking off on a single skin on Adam's page for some reason.
oh yeah, that's a morning flight that we had. Looks like a year ago. Yeah, man, time flies.
Yeah, it's a sunrise flight.
Beautiful.
Yep.
So since we were talking about that single skin, for the folks out there that don't understand or are noobs or haven't gotten to the sport, tell us a little bit about single skin. And there's hybrids out there also. And what's the difference between that, the bull nose, and all the different types of gliders that you fly?
If you take a look, if you go back and look at the other Santa Claus picture, Santa's flying, and get a little better idea right there. So it's a single skin, meaning there's just a top surface. There's not a lower surface. There are still ribs or cells. They're more virtual than they are with the openings on the leading edge. So disadvantage, start right away, is they're much slower trim speed. I find that to be an advantage in certain circumstances, such as foot dragging or getting really close to things. Yeah, I think this is Santa. Yeah, that was awesome. Super lightweight and packable. I mean, this wing weighs 4 pounds at the most, maybe 4 pounds. You can reverse launch in 1 mile an hour winds. Forward launches, it just automatically launches is really the best way I can describe it.
Are they good in high winds also, or is this more of a lower wind?
They just don't penetrate well, right? So high winds for us, the most I'll fly these wings in is about 9 mile an hour, constant beach wind. It really shines at 0 to 6 constant. And then anything faster than that, my other wings are easy to reverse and I just take them because I'm lazy. Yeah.
Have you ever tried a hybrid wing where it's half?
Yeah, I owned an APCO hybrid for quite some time, and that was my entry into single skin type, technology. Great. It was a great wing. I didn't really know how to fly it then like I would now. So the problem is I'm like, hey, this is a lightweight wing. It's going to launch easily. And it did all those things. What it didn't do was it actually had cells in the front. So it would still get sand in it here, where a pure single skin doesn't get sand in it, which is great when you're mentoring someone, teaching them how to fly. you're not constantly dumping it, right? And it's not coming up asymmetrically because it has 3 pounds of sand on one side. But to go back to your question, if I were to fly an APCO hybrid now, I'm sure I would love it. But I didn't love it in the beginning because it didn't quite know what it wanted to be. It didn't want to be a traditional wing or a single skin, and it was kind of in the middle. So it landed very differently than a traditional wing. It lands more like a single skin, but now we know how to do that. We know how to land it. So that's the big wake up when you fly a single skin, is how to properly land one.
Okay, and since you fly both PG and PPG, what are the difference in wings from flying purely gliding and power paragliding? What are the difference in the wings?
Yeah, crazy. This is a rabbit hole. Everybody wants the one wing that does both, right? There is no one wing that does both well. There are plenty of wings that do both. The single skin wings do both. They don't do paramotor like a reflex wing will, for example. They're slower. So if you're a paramotor pilot and you want to paraglide, you're going to lose some efficiency because the wing is designed to have thrust. It's not meant for non-powered glide optimization or catching thermals. If you're a paraglider, if you're on a paragliding wing, I feel like you have more of an advantage unless you're looking for pure speed. If you're looking for pure speed, you can't beat a reflex wing. They're fast. You put it in reflex mode and they're fast. But if I were to have to choose one, it would be a paragliding wing on a paramotor.
Paragliding wing on a paramotor.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Really? If I had to choose one, yeah, I would much rather fly a paragliding wing on a paramotor than a paramotor wing paragliding.
Well, that's good to hear, because that's what I'll be doing on the SP. I got the Nuvik Hook 5, Jacques, and I'll be flying that.
Yep. Yep.
With the SP, because when I get up 2,000 feet and I want to shut off in thermal,
yep,
then I got my nice 28-meter paragliding wing.
Yeah, you're gonna be a little more loaded than you were in free flight, but the wing doesn't care. It's weight underneath it, right? It doesn't care. It's once you add, yeah.
I got a Gen Vantage 3. It's a hybrid, so you can motor in and.
Yeah, but that's really, I believe, a paragliding wing with motor risers on.
And it is so lifty, and I can get lots of lift on there, get up, really, really high, cut off the motor, and really do a lot of gliding. It has more of a glide ratio than I think the other wings that I've flown, including the Spider and the Roadster.
Yeah, Jim makes some amazing wings, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we're on 8:30. I know that you guys said that you need to head on out at 8:30. Anybody have any other questions from the panel for Adam or Jack, or any other questions that popped up in the super chat that I did not see? Will, was there any in there?
I think we got it covered.
That sounds awesome. Well, guys, it's been an incredible hour and a half. It went by like that. Really, it did. I mean, didn't we just start? I mean, it really went by pretty quick, and I definitely appreciate you guys being on here, Adam and Jack. Now, tell us before we go, how do we get up with you, Jack, on social media? I know that we got links down below, but for those of you that are listening to this podcast later on after the live show, just tell us a little bit about how we can get up with you and your social media.
Yeah, at Jabu Sports, JABU SPORTS, and if you look up Jabu Sports on Facebook, it'll send you to me as well.
Awesome. And Adam?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram mainly. Adam Saints.
Okay, and all that is in the show notes or the description down below for the live show and for all of our audio versions that are listening to this podcast. I think JP just started a share screen, and he's showing right now your Instagram. Is that your Instagram, Adam?
Yeah,
And-
that's my Instagram.
All right. And there's Jack's. So you guys do a lot of Instagramming? I mean, no,
Not really.
how about videos and stuff? I mean, nothing on YouTube?
Nah, I've got a few videos out there, but nah, you gotta come with us.
We have a lot of footage we need to post, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But
just come with us and see it firsthand.
yeah, there you go.
That sounds good. I mean, for you guys to be flying for 5 years and 9 years, and you don't have a YouTube channel full of flying videos, obviously you're doing more flying
Yeah.
than other people that are just, trying to do all this editing.
Yeah, no, this is.
I wish I could say that.
I fly about 4 times a week, 5 times a week. I can launch from my backyard. It's a way for me to have fun. And the video is just another job. So I wish I could, but no.
I feel the same way, buddy. I surely do. The airport that I fly out of is right down the road, not too far. I can get there in no time. I can fly anytime I want to. It's an airport. I can fly at, sunrise, every morning, sunset every evening, and no one says a word because it's an airport. And I find myself not videoing anything, or if I do, I got a ton of footage on my hard drives, and nobody sees me do anything.
And I respect people who are doing this because it's their hobby or a living, right? I mean, that's great. If you can monetize your hobby, that's awesome. But I also find that I'm a different pilot whenever I'm filming or being filmed. And I probably don't make the wisest decisions, and that's happening.
When you're filming, you don't make the wisest decisions?
Or being filmed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like at fly-ins, you fly kind of more sketchier.
No, I don't. Fly-ins, I don't care. I go to fly-ins to see people that I haven't seen in ages.
Right.
The last thing I want to do is fly at a fly-in. Just it's chaos, right? And it's people that are like, hey, I'm at a fly-in, I'm going to go do a wing over. It's like, you're not impressing anyone, I mean, really? And you just keep going right in front of the LZ constantly? No. I'm there to just, have a drink with you guys, have fun. But no, what I'm saying is the cameras come out and you're being filmed, or you're trying to make that next video. I think your risk tolerance kind of goes out the window.
That is true.
Sean, to let you know, having been around a lot of PG guys, a lot of guys, they don't wear, like, I wore a camera on my helmet for my first flight, and that was it. After that, most of them don't wear cameras because they're so concentrated into flying that they just don't. And it's a hazard. It's a risk to have that on your
The
helmet.
snag hazard. I agree. I don't.
Snag hazard. And I mean, I talked to some guys that fly long XCs, and they're just like, dude, I've flown all around the world, and I'll just have those pictures and the videos in my mind. A lot of guys don't, in PG world, don't record their flights quite often. So,
We have a strange fascination with videotaping ourselves in the paramotor community.
yeah.
That's true. I have a chest mount, and I put my phone and I record this way, but my Skyfly High and my PPG PPS is on there, and I kind of look down to see where I am, where I want to go, and then it's recording this way. But, I'm looking around, I'm looking at everything, and then, I look back, later that day, and I say, oh my God, look at that, this beautiful screenshot, put it out there on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. I don't just take it out and do anything. I don't think that I have but maybe 3 selfies on a paramotor. All the rest of them are just like this, chest mount out. And
If you guys have, yeah, if you guys have ever seen my Facebook lives, it's pretty much straight and level. Just showing you the beach, showing you a sunset, saying hi, testing out comms or a new piece of equipment. And then I put the phone away and then I go have fun. I fly for me at that point. But yeah, it can get risky with a camera. And I've done stupid stuff in front of a camera because the camera's there.
right.
Has anyone thought about getting one of those peanut cameras from like RunCam, or they're the GoPro 2? It's the real small one. You know?
I got the GoPro 5 Session. That's a little square one, but if I fly with a chase cam, that's what goes on my chase cam, the little tiny square GoPro. Is that
So I was
what you're
thinking
talking
about
about?
something that's like very small that you just clip on like maybe your collar, where you can clip it right onto your chest thing, and it's really small. That
Oh,
way
it's the Insta 360.
Oh, the Insta
yeah, like an
360
Insta
one.
360, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Go, it's that big, yeah. That's kind of cool.
That Mark, what's his name over there? Used to fly for the European company, and he had that. It was really small because I was just thinking, I really don't want to start wearing a GoPro on my helmets and stuff and getting worried about snags or anything else. You know,
I looked into that Insta 360, and the downside is there's no external memory on it. It's all internal, and it only records for like 10 minutes maybe before you have to
It's the go-to, right? Insta
go to.
go-to.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's like a passive thing, right? More than an
Yeah.
act. Yeah.
I think it'd be good to be like you're talking about, like, okay, I'm coming up on some palms around the corner off of here in the sunset, and turn it on, and then later on you can just grab a screenshot
That's
and then
right.
just turn it off real quick, just to get like 30-second clips. You know,
Right,
instead
right.
Yeah.
of trying to record a whole hour flight. You know, it might be something that's a little better and lighter and smaller, and I just think that the cameras become cumbersome and start taking over your flying, like you were saying.
Yeah. If I flew once a week or once a month, I could see me doing some real video editing, right? And trying to up my game and quality content. When you fly often, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think before we on our pre-show we talked about putting the Insta 360 or the GoPro 360 on a selfie stick. Set it out there and go fly, and then after your flight you can go back and edit. In anywhere that you want to, and show anything that you want to, and it's all on our phone too. It's editing on our phone rather than tons and tons of SD cards in our computer. Will Fly does a lot of that. I mean, he does a lot of editing, but his videos are really good. If you guys haven't been over to Will Fly, go to willflyppg.com. Will, you said that sometimes your editing is like 30 hours for a video?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it just
Wow.
depends on it's just the nature of video editing. But and I just recently switched over, haven't had a flight with it yet, but I switched over to the Insta 360. It kind of gave up on GoPro. I was looking at the GoPro 360 camera, but there's no way to hook up an external mic to it. Whereas you can with the Insta 360. And my mission kind of goes along with what Jack was saying, is I want to be able to just fly and not worry about getting a shot or having my head turned a particular way, because my main camera is on my helmet and my head is always, pivoting left, right, looking for things, looking for traffic or obstacles. So I'm hoping that will make, it's just less of a hassle to capture the moment.
Exactly. We got Walter from down under. Hi, Walter, but your audio's not working. You're not on mute. We just can't hear you, buddy. It's because you're in the future and you're upside down.
It's
So,
from tomorrow.
Yeah, we still love you, Walter.
yeah, he's from tomorrow. We don't have the audio yet from tomorrow. Looks like JP needs to run, and I think that our guest needs to run too. So JP, we appreciate you, buddy. How do we get up with you? And
Oh,
what's your
pleasure, guys. Yeah, look me up, jptulo.com. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the Facebook at jptulo. So I'm sure I'll catch you guys throughout the week on the other shows. So always a pleasure.
awesome? Well, thank you, JP. We appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, JP.
No problem, guys. Take
Bye,
care.
JP.
Have a good week.
Absolutely. So anyways, I guess we'll go ahead and call it a night. Sorry, Walter, we can't hear you, but we're very glad that tomorrow is going to be around. And we always appreciate you jumping on and saying hi. Tomorrow we also have another show that's going to be from PPG Lear, LEAR.com. Is that correct, Jade? Is that still going tomorrow from PPG Lear?
Yes, it's going on tomorrow.
All right. And then also we have one on Wednesday. What's that all about?
Girls just want to fly in outer space this week.
That's going to be really cool. And you can
That's
find
awesome.
her. You can find her at paramotorgirl.com every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow's show is going to be PPG Lear at ppglear.com, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. I guess we're all keeping the same times right now. That's pretty good. Walter, can you chat yet to at least say goodbye to us? Still doesn't work. Darn it. But we love you anyway. We appreciate you. Adam and Jack, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. A wealth of information. You guys sound like you guys are the adventure crew.
Yeah.
And definitely can't wait to see your other adventures and hopefully in the future go fly with you guys.
Reach out with any questions. Thanks for having us. Want to share the stoke?
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys. I so appreciate you being on the show tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Are awesome.
Yeah,
I
thanks
know,
so much.
absolutely. I know Adam needs to go because he should have left 10 minutes ago, but he didn't.
No,
So
it wasn't like a hard stop. It's all good.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no, I got to watch the time, and this is just going so much. It's flowing so well, and I'm learning so much. I don't want to stop. But thank you very much, Adam and Jack. We appreciate you so much for being on the
Absolutely.
show tonight.
Welcome
Also,
back anytime, guys.
yeah, you are on our chat, our guest chat. So if you want to stay on that chat, stay on it. Every Monday night, if you want to be on the panel, now that you've been on as a guest, jump on as a panel any Monday night just to hang out with us. So if you have nothing better to do and you're not flying, here we go.
Yep.
Okay,
Sounds
great.
great.
Love it.
Maybe we'll do it from Europe.
That would be awesome.
Let's do it. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning for us, but hey, what the hell?
You'll still be up. You'll still be up. Or you'll be getting up early to do that early morning flying.
That's
stuff.
right. That's right.
Absolutely. So we already said Will Fly from Will Fly PPG, Jim from Canada and his maple smelling money. We appreciate you for being on the show. And if you need anything printed, how do we get up with you, Jim?
ClearPP.com.
CarePP.com or watch his shenanigans at CarePPG.com. I love your .coms. That's so incredible and intuitive. Appreciate you, buddy. We also got Linda Anderson, our ParamomUSA.com. If you want to get up with us and be on our show, get up with Linda Anderson. She'll hook you up. And there's something going on on Thursday. What's that?
Paraglidingchalk.com with your host, Robert Michaels. My
Awesome.
awesome is fun. It's going to be a great show. You never know what else is going to show up and all that. So make sure you guys tune in. It's always great information and all that stuff. So, yeah.
And Robert's an awesome guy, and he actually jumped on our show the other night, which was really cool. So we appreciate him doing that. We also got Mike Mansloper in the house that stopped in and say hi, and we appreciate you being on here. Since you are here, do you do any videos? And if you do, where are they?
They're just under Mad Sloper for my YouTube. There's not too many on there. They're just my PG from this past summer. But hopefully I'll record probably, I know Will's dying, when I first get the SP140 up. I'll have some video hopefully of that.
I can't wait.
Some ground, and I'll probably attach a a chest mount camera, probably for something like that. And other than that, that's pretty much it. I have an Instagram, but I can't even remember what it is. I got like 3 or 4 photos, and that's it.
Yeah, I got those things too. I don't even think I use them. Adam, Jack, once again, thank you so much. Any words to wisdom before we head on out, Adam and Jack?
Enjoy life.
Enjoy life. Stop videoing.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. Right.
Enjoy the fun.
Do it, yeah. Go.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you, Adam and Jack, for season 3, episode 104 of PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast, ClearPropTV.com, Paratalk.org. Until tomorrow at PPGLear.com, have a wonderful night and stay safe, fly, have fun. And we are Audi 5000.
Thank you.
See y'all. Have a good one. Appreciate y'all.
Good night.
Have a good one. Meow.
Meow.
Trying to turn off all these live streams that we got.
Bang, bang, boom.